So people ask me when I go across the country, are you a motivational speaker? No, not necessarily. I'm not a motivational speaker. I am a speaker professionally. You have to kind of motivate yourself to take action. It's not a matter of somebody on the stage for 30 minutes and delivering this powerful oratory. From that perspective, I try to do my best to do what I have to do. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today to talk about the what and the why behind why I speak. So from the what I do, I speak on emotional intelligence, specifically human behavior, and I do it for CEOs primarily and how they can better impact their workplace. So that I want to help them transform the way they communicate, increase their emotional intelligence as an organization, basically transform their culture to be positive, great place to work, great reviews on Glassdoor, etc. How I use that is typically through DISC. I love DISC. It's easy to teach. It's easier to get people to understand and implement in their own personal and professional lives. So I do workshops, I do training, I do keynotes, I do association meetings, I do online work, I do remote sessions with folks who say, hey, can we have you for an hour? And I do that as well. So that's kind of what I do, and I do it in a super wild and crazy way. If you've seen any of my videos, you know that I'm a pretty high energy guy. I have the heart of a teacher. That's kind of where my training started. I was a sixth grade teacher for 8 years. And so those kind of classroom tools with me to the platform, and it translated very, very well. So that's kind of the what I do as a means to do it. And I have lots of things. I have a book that I produced. It's called the Rapport Advantage. You can find it on Amazon. See the link in the description below. We have assessments and tools that people use, both for their employees and personally. There'll be a link to that in the description below. If you want to go to my store, we have those for kids. We have those for adults, teens. When I'm talking to my CEOs and I start talking about kids' assessments, their ears kind of perk up because the assessments are great in that they help you to understand your child better, but there's also a specific section in those assessments that are for teachers that say, here's how to best work with Alex or whomever, which is a great tool for them to have so they can better understand your child and basically effectively know them without really knowing their background, their personal stories and things like that. So all those things add up. There's going to be an online course that's going to be launching soon, just lots of different ways that you can get a hold of the information that I teach. So that in of itself is great, and public speaking is great, but unless you have a why for anything that you're doing, you just don't need to be doing it, because the why is why you get out of bed. The why is why you travel to Salt Lake City to do videos. The why is why you put up with people who say nasty things about you on the internet. The why is the reason you do what you do. And so my why originated back in 1997, and it was in the summer. I came home from work and my wife was on the edge of the bed and she was pretty upset. As I sat down beside her, I said, sweetheart, what's going on? What's wrong? And she said, I just don't understand you. And I said, okay, that's kind of cold, #rude. But I said, give me some examples of what you're talking about. And she says, well, why don't you make the bed every day? Because I'm going to sleep in it tonight. She goes, well, what if someone comes over to our house? I said, well, just close the bedroom door. They might see our bed. And so we kind of had some back and forth. And I said, well, why don't you like to be more spontaneous? And she said, well, why can't we put everything on the schedule and make sure that everything's accounted for so we know what's going on? So this went back and forth. And so she's upset and I'm crying because I'm the emotional. If you've seen my channel before, you know I'm a high S, so I'm a big softie. And then she asked me the question that I was hoping that she wouldn't ask me. And she leaned over and she said, what are we going to do about it? I mean, I didn't have an answer. And so that was a pretty stressful time for us because, we knew that there was this big problem that was going on with the way we were communicating with one another. We just weren't getting each other or why we were doing what we were doing. And so that was starting to create some division. Now, we weren't getting separated or on the way to divorce, but, there was some separation going on. Later about 2 weeks later, I visited a summer camp where I was working at the time because I was in the classroom still. And I met a gentleman who introduced me to this whole DISC profiling, and he did it with all of the delegates that were there. And he offered it to the staff. And I said, well, sure, I'll take one of these. He said, it'll change your life. It's awesome. And so I took that assessment and I found out that I'm this IS, this super people-oriented person, never met a stranger, loves everybody, wants to help everybody. And that was wonderful. But the big enlightening moment for me was that that's great, that's who I am, but that's not my wife. I don't understand her. I know she's not this. I need to understand her better. So I had my self-awareness, but I didn't have awareness for her. So I asked for another assessment. He gave me that assessment, and I took it home. And I said, sweetheart, I don't know if this is going to change anything, help us, whatever, but it's been really, really positive for me, and it lets me know a little bit more about who I am. I said, would you be willing to take one of these assessments? And of course, she said, sure. And she took one and found out that she's a CD. So I'm an IS, way out here on the graph. She's a CD, way out here on the other side of the graph. We're complete polar opposites. We're polar opposites in personality, intensity, the whole 9 yards. So I was operating from this mindset of, why doesn't my wife, like to be funny or spontaneous? Because I'm that way. And she's sitting here thinking the whole time, why can't he be more organized? Why can't we get things on a calendar? Why can't he finish a complete sentence? And why does he leave off one item on the grocery list when I only gave him 10? So once we understood this, it was like, bing, the lights came on for us. And we understood that, yes, I'm the flexible, person. She's more rigid. I'm more about fun, and she's more about, facts and staying organized. And that really changed the way that we interacted with one another, because then we learned how to adapt. And once we learned how to adapt our style, I knew that when I was talking with her, I needed to be super focused. It wasn't about, pictures of our vacation or whatever. It had to be about the moment and what she needed to have done. And for me, she knew that she needed to surprise me a little bit more, because eyes love surprises. And so, she would get me a card here or get me a gift certificate for a board game over here, and all these things that she knew that I loved. I was like, oh, this is great. So we started to adapt our relationship, and that's what really changed for us. And so that saved our marriage. That one assessment that I took in 1997 saved our marriage, because it led for her to take an assessment, and then we started being able to work together as a couple, which then translated into how we parent. So now that we have 5 kids, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, we are better equipped to parent them, and knowing each other's relationship and where we are. Now I know that, as the S in the relationship, it's not about being this macho, strong guy. I'm an S. I'm the touchy-feely guy. I'm the guy who cried during the movie Tangled. I mean, who does that? I did, because that's who I am. But I'm the referee. I'm the peacemaker in the family. It's not about being a guy or a girl in those stereotypical gender roles. It's about changing how you view the world, because I am who I am. And if I try to change for people, it's not going to work on a daily basis. But if I can adapt every once in a while to meet people where they are, that's where the magic happens. So my why is because it saved my marriage. That's why I do what I do. I'm trying to help other people save theirs. I'm trying to help CEOs save their companies, save their culture. So I'm super passionate about that. And from a personal, professional relationships, the ones that I build when I go talk to these groups and these associations, the looks on people's faces when they come up to me during the break or afterwards, and they say, Alex, now I know why my daughter does ... Now I can have a conversation with her. Now I can relate to her. Now we can sit down and not argue every single second. That means the world to me. So as a high S, I get teared up right now talking about it. So from the perspective of what I do and why I do it, that's it. So my challenge to you is, we finish up this video, is find something in your life that you're passionate about. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's not. Maybe it's outside of work. Maybe it's helping, the homeless. Maybe it's, providing water sources for people in Africa. Maybe it's as simple as spending more time with your son or daughter because you're a salesperson, you're on the road all the time. Whatever that passion is for you, go after it, get it done. Find out what your why is, and then go after it as hard as you can. We got one chance around this crazy world called life. We don't get any takebacks, we don't get any do-overs. We are where we are. So don't waste a minute. Transform the way you communicate. Get an assessment. Figure out how to communicate with your significant other better, or just your mom or dad or son or daughter or whatever else. Don't waste another second when you could be building better relationships. So that's the why and the what for me. I hope that's been enlightening for you. Leave any questions or comments below. It's always a pleasure being on the channel with you guys. Thanks so much for your time. Take care.